Let's keep it in the NBA. We've got an overreaction. So weigh in on Twitter. Let us know if you think this is an overreaction. The Spurs obviously going to have to finish out the playoffs without their leader. Tony Parker will miss the remainder of the postseason with a ruptured quad tendon. He turns 35 in less than 2 weeks. He's under contract for next season at $15.4 million. Is Tony Parker's NBA career over, or is that an overreaction?
I think it's an overreaction. Why that is a question and something that we're all wondering is obvious because of what you said. His age and the fact that we've seen him certainly slow down. He's well past his prime. I still think he has more to give to the Spurs, and that goes beyond this year. With him being under contract and I think being, we saw this happen with Tim Duncan where the limits got less and less and less, but in crunch time of big games, we're seeing it with Manu this year. He's still a part of this team, and even if they kind of phase more of his minutes towards a Patty Mills or other guys on this team, you can understand why. But to think that this completely ends his career, it might, but I think it's an overreaction to say that right now. Let's see how he recovers. Let's see if there is any explosiveness left months and months from now when he does rehab his quad injury. Only time will tell, but for me to look at it right now and say, no, there's nothing left in the tank, he's totally done. It's a quad injury. I know it's a serious quad injury, but we're not talking about an Achilles. I think Tony Parker has a little bit left in the tank to give, even if it means at less minutes than we've ever seen him before or anything like that. I think he's going to be a Spur and a contributing Spur next season, maybe even beyond.
But when you talk about possible surgery at his age, I mean, anyone at that age without playing a professional sport, you'd think,
it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And I know he has the best doctors. He's got the best physical therapists as well. Yeah, that definitely helps.
Gives him a leg up.
It's got to give you some concern.
It definitely does. And, I don't think either of us would be surprised if, let's just fast forward months from now, we hear Tony says, this thing has really knocked me on my ass. Rehabbing from this, getting strong, really figuring out if I have the explosiveness to get past Patrick Beverley for next year. I don't have it. I just don't have it in me. This thing has really, really walloped me. I'm done. It wouldn't surprise us, but I think the competitor in Tony Parker and the way I've seen him play this year, I see an old veteran who's got a little left in the tank, and I think he's going to work hard too, knowing that, look, he's got all of this all of this postseason, all of the offseason. He's got a lot of time to get himself ready. I think he can get his body as close to ready as possible to start next season and be a contributing member of San Antonio.
A little difficult to gauge this injury because it's not a very common one. We don't see this a lot.
Ruptured quad.
Tendon.
Yeah, the tendon in the quad. Now, that
sounds horrible.
Especially when you think of what kind of big muscle the quad is. And for an older player that already lacks a little explosiveness, it'll be interesting. I'm not sure how a ruptured quad responds for a guy in his mid-30s, but we're going to find out. If I was to bet, I'd say Tony's there and playing. Maybe it is only 15 to 20 minutes a game next year, but I think he's a part of that team.